So we're going to go ahead and get started with the Realist class. So I'm going to start off in Paragon. And what we're going to do first is we're actually going to pull a property, and I'm going to show you how you can get tax information from there. So in Paragon, excuse me, we're going to go ahead and put a property address in. So I'm going to use my power search bar at the top here, and I'm going to type in just one of my listings. If there's a specific property you need to run this on, you're more than welcome to use that property. So I'm going to go ahead and type in my 38890 Shoreline. And as I type it up in my power search at the top here, I'm going to go ahead and select the property. It's right here. And that should open up the full listing. So we do have a quick action link on our listings that will take you directly into Realist. And the idea of doing this is if you want to run comps on the property. And Realist is a little different than running comps in your Cloud CMA. The reason being is that Realist will give you tax records and MLS records. So if there is a for sale by owner, this is a great way to find it. If you have a property you're having a hard time finding comps, this is a way to go, is go at least in your Realist and see what you can find in there. So I went ahead and pulled up my listing, the 38890 Shoreline. And from the Legacy Full Agent Report, if you take a look at the left side here underneath, you've got this little red button here, this little quick action link. And if you hover over it, it should say Realist Property Detail. I'm going to go ahead and select that. It's going to pull it right into Realist for me. Okay, so once the property information pulls up, you are going to see owner information first, a little information about the location, taxes. It should have the last 3 years for you. Here's your assessments and your taxes also. You scroll down a little bit further. You're going to get into the characteristics of the home. A couple things to note on here. You will notice where you'll see like MLS, crawl. What that's telling you is that from tax records, they're not seeing that information, but from the MLS, they did pull that there's a crawl space there. And sometimes, like I said, you'll find information here that's not filled in. It might be limited. Realist is a third party, so they are pulling the information from the city and putting the information for us. So always double check the information in there because there's always room for error. If you go down further, after the characteristics, if there's any features in here. And now we're getting into these estimated value and sell scores. And I'm sure if you've seen some of these sites now, they're getting into these sell scores to give you an idea if the seller might be at a higher score, then there's hopefully more intention of them possibly selling. So it's supposed to kind of figure these numbers for you. Again, I'm not sure how accurate these are, but they are using these sell scores now in Realist. The estimated value, let me explain how this works. What they're telling you here is this real AVM, this automated value. They give you this confidence score and then they give you this percentage. So what they're basically telling you is that they are 55% confident that this house will sell within 16% of this real AVM. I'm not sure if I would go with those numbers. As an agent, I still want to do my part and go through the properties and find the listings myself. If you look underneath here where it says real AVM range, it does give you an automated value range in that area. You go down a little bit further here, you've got more listing information. So this is my listing, shows it's active. And if I go down further, it's going to show me any recent sales and sales history. The nice thing also, if there's foreclosures, pre-foreclosure, sheriff sale, you will see this information. I like this part also, the mortgage history. You usually can't find this. This will show you every time they've taken a mortgage. It does not give you their current balance, but it does show you every time they have taken a mortgage out. So you can kind of get an idea if they do still have a large loan and how negotiable they are on the price. And again, here's your foreclosure history at the bottom. So if it's ever been in foreclosure, pre-foreclosure, sheriff sale, you will see this information at the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to scroll back to the top here. Now the idea here is I'm going to pull comps right from this, the information here that I pulled about the property from Paragon. So if you scroll back to the very top of your screen, in the top left, you have a launch Realist, but then you have comparables. I'm going to select comparables right here. And now it's going to allow us to actually search the area and select which homes we want to use as comparables. So you just need to give it a minute to load. You have to be a little patient here. It is pulling all the records that it has, and it's trying to pull the MLS and the tax records, so it does take a little bit of time to load at times. So I'm sorry, it's taking longer than it typically does. Usually it's not taking as long. Hopefully everybody else's page is loaded. As your page loads, you should see a map at the top, and it will automatically have some comparables pulled for you. Go ahead and close this. I'm not sure if it's slowing down a little bit here with everything, so we'll close all that up, see if it makes a difference. There we go. It's running a little slow today. Okay. So again, your map should be at the top, and you'll see they're numbered. And if you look at the numbers, they will coincide with the spreadsheet at the bottom of those listings. So as that pulls, it's still pulling here. Mine has not loaded yet. Oh, there it goes. So I'm not sure if I have a lot of comparables here, and it's taking some time to load them up. But the numbers that coincide on your map, again, will be the listings at the bottom. And you'll notice they're all highlighted. And as we go through these and we select or unselect, they will remove those numbers on your map for you. We can adjust. This is automatically, it's pulled some properties for us. I'm going to actually zoom out a little bit so you can see. So it's pulled in the area, and now I can make some modifications. And the way I can do this is if you look, and this has been changed a little bit. If you were in Realist before, they have made some changes. So if you look at the top right is where our search criteria is now. If you select that, it's going to show you what it's searching by. So these are my options here. So I can make any changes I'd like. It starts off with the number of comparables. It only gives a maximum of 10. If you used it before, we did have more. They are working on getting us more comparables. I'm not sure why this was changed, but they are working on that for us. And then you have the sort method. You have different ways of the results showing up. Mine is by living building area, but if you select the drop-down menu, you have an option to do it by the distance, if you want the homes that are closest to the subject property, by the most recent, by the sale price, or again, by the square footage. Under there, you have these options. You can include property images, which you will want to include. You can include that value projected by assessment, the value projected by the square foot, and that real AVN, that automated value. Any of these items that you don't want to include, you can uncheck. It will not be in your report. If you go down a little bit further, the data source, we want both. We want to make sure we're pulling MLS records and tax records, so we're getting those for sale by owners. As far as pool goes, I keep it as no preference. If this specific property had a pool and I want to make sure I'm pulling if there's pools in the area, you can select that. I'd like to go up to a mile around the property. You can go up to 10 miles. So maybe in a rural area, you might need to go a little bit further out, then you can adjust this as needed. Scroll down further, you can adjust it by price for your comparables. Year built is great if you're in an area where there's new construction, older homes. That's a great way to also remove some of those older ones that you may not want, or make sure you have all the newer homes. Bedrooms, bathrooms, stories, those also can be adjusted depending on the home. For stories, keep in mind you can only go 1 or 2 story. It doesn't give you an option for a 1.5. So a lot of times if I have a split level, I do keep this open to make sure I'm pulling that, I'm not missing it. Tax and distress sales, if you don't want to include them, you can remove them. So you can include all the distress sales, you can exclude all of them. I can have just the REO sales or just short sales. So again, you do have that option. The boundary, I can select if I want the same subdivision, same zip code, same city. If it's a condo, you may want to use this because that'll hopefully keep you from pulling from other condos in the area. Site influence, is it waterfront? Is it by an alley? Is it by an airport? This obviously will help you to remove some of the ones you may not want to use. So it does give you an option for the location. D-type recording date, or you can go by sales date. I do like sales date. And then how far back do I want to go? The maximum is 1 year. So if I don't want to go 12 months back and maybe I want to see the last 6 months, what kind of activity we've had, you can select it there. You also have an option of doing a date range. I can use a calendar, or I can do a beginning date and leave it open until today. So whichever you choose. The square footage. So you have an option to select the percentage of the square footage you would like it to search by the subject property. So for example, this property is about 1760. Do I want it to go 20% above and beyond that square footage? Do I want it to go more? It does give you an option to go as high as you want. I know a lot of appraisers will go up to 20%. So usually I use a 20% mark. If you find you're not getting another result or enough results, adjust these as needed. You can also put in an actual range for your square footage. Same thing with this lot area. If I have acreage, this is a great way to set up the percentage of the acreage I want to go above and beyond in that area. This is a regular subdivision. It does have a half-acre lot, but I still want to just search it, leave it open. Style. So with the style, just like Paragon, we have structure, style, and style. We always want to use structure, style. With this, you want to use land use. The problem with style, again, if you select these, I find that results are limited or you don't get any at all, especially for condos. So I usually skip the style completely and I go down to my land use. I have it set up so it says same as subject, and then I added my single family. There is an option for condo in here, townhouse, or whatever you're looking for. In order to add these, you can check mark them and it includes them. Anything on the right's included, or if I want to remove them, there's an X here and I can take them out. At the bottom, you have two options. I can submit, which will save this for now, just for the search, or I can select save and submit. If you select save and submit, you are now making this a default. If you've made a lot of changes as far as maybe the characteristics, a pool, things of that sort that you may not want each time, then I would select just submit. If you made other changes in here that you want to see every time you're running a search, select save and submit. So I'll go ahead and hit save and submit and give it a second to load. And now it's going to adjust your comparables that are showing up. It may remove some or add some depending on what you put into your search criteria. And there we go. So now it's zoomed into my map and you can see the properties are here. So I'm going to take a look, and if I had more time today, I would actually spend more time opening each one up. I'm going to open one to show you right now, but I usually go through photos. I like to see my interior photos. I like to see the remarks and get an idea, is this a good comparable for my subject property? So I'm going to go ahead and open up. There is a detail report. It just looks like a little piece of paper. And when you click on it, it should open up that specific listing. And if you see a front photo, then this should be in the MLS, and there's sometimes more additional photos, and you can click on it to see if there's anything else. If there's no other photos popping up, then they only have that front photo. And as you look at this, it's going to give you all the same information as it did when I selected the subject property and pulled it into Realist. It's going to give me owner information, and as I scroll through it, location information, tax information, gives you that all the assessments and the ABM and so forth. So everything is in here, same thing. If I look at this and decide it's not a good comp, if you look in the top right corner, it says include in comparables. I have it check marked. I can uncheck it. It will not include it in my report. If I want to keep it, I can. To see the other properties, if you look in the top middle, it says 1 of 10. There's an arrow here. I can select the arrow. It's now going to load my second comparable that I selected. And I can do the same thing and look at the photos, read the information about it, and see, is this one going to be a good one or not? Let's see if this one has additional photos or not. It's not loading them. So it looks like they only have a front view on this one also. So again, you can uncheck here, you can keep it checked and continue going through them. So again, if we were doing a real CMA right now, I would be walking through each one of these and making sure they're good or not. So for the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and just X this out in the top right. This will close this individual and take you back to the screen we were on. So we will take you back over where your map and the OneLine report is here at the bottom. So what I'm going to do now is I can just uncheck what I don't want to use. As you look at your OneLine report, you're going to notice it's like an Excel spreadsheet. You're going to have them, right now they are set up. I had selected my sort method by square foot. So it's going by the closest square foot to my subject property. But maybe I want to take a look at these in a different sort method. So I can go to whatever section I want, maybe the year built. And if you click on it here, it should reload it into either low to high or high to low, whichever way you selected. Same thing with sale price, date, acreage, whatever you want. You can sort by one section just like we do in Paragon. So you can resort it. And if you scroll here at the bottom, you can see the additional fields it has. These can be moved around also. So if I find as I'm going through these, I want to see the property address here and be able to read more about it, I can actually left click on a section and drag it and move it wherever I would like it. And that will put it back in another place and bring things closer that are more important. So maybe the sale price I want closer, so I'm going to pull that in. All right, so as I go through these, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the left side, and this is where I can uncheck or check them. So I'm going to remove a couple here, like this one that's 448,000 is nowhere near the property that I'm using. So I definitely want to pull these high ones out because these are not good comps for this little 1,700 square foot ranch that I have with no basement. So I'm going to remove a couple more. So just have a few selected that we can use for the report itself so you can view what it looks like. And we'll take a couple more out here. Once you're done looking at these, you can go ahead and create your report. And the way you create your report is going to be on the right bottom of your screen. It says Generate Report right here. So as you select this, it's going to load your report for you in the different sections that are included. Okay, so if you look at the top left of your screen, once it loads, you're going to have the first tab is your property details. That's the first page we looked at when we opened up any of the listings themselves as a detailed report about that specific listing. The comparables is going to give me more information here, and then I have a couple more tabs we're going to look at. So with the comparables, I've got my map, and as I scroll down, I'm going to have my search criteria, my statistics, and then it's going to give me my comparables. So now here is where I favor cloud more than I favor running comps in here. If you notice, I only have one photo on each. You'll only see that one photo front view, whatever they have, or an aerial, if it was a for sale by owner on this and in the report itself. You'll see all the photos for the subject property, but not for the comparable. So this, I would love to be able to see more photos, and I think that would be very beneficial. But when you get the report itself, it does not include those. So you can see the comparables are here, and a couple things you'll want to note. As I go through these, you will also see MLS sold price, sale price, and you will see a recording date and document date on here. What you want to look at to see if it's a for sale by owner is if it says MLS sold price or if it says sale price. If you see a different price in sale, then there should be a record on there that was a for sale by owner. So let's see if any of these. Okay, so here's one right here, an example. So this one had a price for $128. That was sold in the MLS on April of 1998. But it looks like there was tax records. It sold for $175 on February 28th, 2020. So that's how you can see the price difference and if it's a for sale by owner. If you also, again, you might see MLS and tax again, those will show if MLS records are showing one thing, tax records are showing something else. Same thing with this one here, which looks like bathrooms. It's saying that the tax records show one, MLS are showing two. So those are things to watch out for too as you're going through these. To load the next comparable, because you'll see I only have 4 listed here, you have an arrow here at the right at the very last one. I select that, it's going to start loading my next one for me. And you can go through them from here. Okay. So let's take a look at the top again. So if you go back to your top, we're going to go to our next tab. There's multiple tabs that will be in your report. The next one to the right of comparables is market trends. Market trends is going to give you statistical information about the area, sales, things like that. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at this. So this first gives you a market overview. It's basically going by the zip code and area, and it's breaking it down for me from, it looks like from for closed sales, median sales, active listings, and so forth. So this is some good information. If you scroll down a little bit further from here, I'm now getting into my median sale price for tax records, not MLS records, but tax records only. And if you look at this, it's showing the zip code, it's showing the city, and it's showing the county. So it's giving me comparables or comparison, I'm sorry, of all 3 with the graphing. If I scroll down further, I now have my median sale price by MLS data. So there's our MLS records. Go down further from here. Here's the original like to list price ratio. Again, then this is the median price per square foot, tax records only. So just watch for whether it says tax or MLS so you know where it's coming from. Okay, so this is going to be your market trends. Now, the nice thing about these reports, if you don't like a section, so if I don't like the section or I don't feel it's any use for my client, I can remove it from my report, whether I print or email, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so we go back to the top. To the right of your market trends, we have neighbors. This is going to pull the neighbors around that subject property and show you what they paid for the house, no matter how far back it went, whatever records they show. So you can see it pulled a straight line here of the homes. And if I go down here, it's going to give me that side by side also. So you can see each one of these, they don't have an actual front view. So these were probably tax records with the last sales in here. And so you can see here, this one sold for $156. This one actually did have an MLS sale. And it sold in 1999 for $156. So they may no longer have an upfront photo. This one looks like it does not have any sale at all. So I'm assuming they built their home and so forth. So you can take a look at them and get more information. And again, you've got that arrow to the right and it will pull the next neighbor for you as it goes through. Okay, so those are your neighbors. Again, I'll give you all as much information as you see here as I did with the comparables. We're going to go back to the top of our screen, and to the right of neighbors, you have neighborhood profile. This is going to give you some more information about the neighborhood itself. So as this loads, we'll take a look at what's in here. And again, this is a separate tab. This can also be turned off if you don't like it. So it gives you some information here might be useful, some may not. I'm not sure how often you'll want to use this, but it gives you population in the area. It gives you the age in the area. It gives you gender and marital status, which again, not sure if this is important to your client, of how many are single in the area and so forth, but it does give you that information. Housing, it does give you this the median dwelling age in there. I do like the occupancy. This shows how many are owner occupied, how many are vacant, and how many are actual tenants. And it does give you fair market value for rent. So if your clients are looking to rent the property out, this does give them that information too, which is good. Quality of life, again, not sure how much benefit this is to your client, but it does show blue collar, white collar workers, the percentage in the area, the household income in the area. It gives you commute method, weather in the area. This I find is always helpful education. And I do like that it shows you the schools. It gives you how far the distance, what the grades are in that school, how many students per teacher, and their rating. And excuse me, the last thing is their businesses. So it does give you local businesses in the area. Again, if you don't want to use a section, we can remove it. And I'm going to show you right now how it will do that part of it. If you look in the bottom left of your screen, you have a print and email option. So let's start off with the print. If you select print, you have two options: quick print, customize print. Quick print is just going to print it all. Customize will allow you to remove whatever you don't want. So go ahead and select print, customize print, and you can see their check marks. So we had the property detail report, which was about the subject property, our comparables, that neighborhood profile that we just looked at, the MLS property photos, which you do want because that's going to be on your subject property, and then the neighbors. So if you don't want to, if you want to remove anything, just uncheck it and it will take it out for you. Okay. I'm going to hit cancel. And to the right of print in the bottom left corner, we're going to go ahead and select email. And if you want to email this to yourself, you can to see what it looks like. But you can also quick email, will include everything, hit that customize, and now you have an option to add or remove whatever you don't want. So I'm going to select proceed on the email. And it takes a minute or so just to complete all of these sections for you. And once it's completed, we can add an email. It does send the email directly from Realist, but it does show you as a sender. And in the end, I will show you how you can customize and add your signature and so forth too. So when you send it, and it's going to create a PDF for you here. A second, getting close here. And we're just waiting for the last report. So hopefully yours is there it goes. So when you select add to email, it will open up an email window for you. Again, you can see your email address should be at the top. Type in the email address you want to send it to. So again, if you'd like to send this to yourself to see what your client's going to view, go ahead and type in the email address. It shows that it was emailed for the whatever property address. And then I will show you how to do these email signature at the end. So that way you don't have to type in, but you can add in any message you would like here. And the send button is in the bottom right corner. So you can go ahead and send that to your client or yourself and take a look at it and you can see exactly. And again, it'll be all the sections that you have included when you hit that customize. If you don't want to email it, there is an X in the top right corner. You can hit that X and it will close it out for you. Okay, so that is basically running those comps from pulling the listing in Paragon, selecting that quick action link, and then pulling this into Realist and running those comparables. So we were at the property details first, then it took us into comparables and we made our adjustments. We changed that search criteria and then generated a report. So those were the steps. This step-by-step is also in that handout on the right side of your screen. There's a PDF, there's some screenshots, so hopefully that'll help you later. But is there any questions at this point? And again, you can raise your hand on the right side or you can type in a chat and we will answer it, whichever way. So just let me know, Debbie, if there's any questions.
We're doing good so far.
Okay, perfect. Wonderful. So we're going to keep moving along. So I'm now going to take you into just Realist and we're going to look at the other options of just pulling in a property without going directly from Paragon and also from running the maps and so forth. So let's go back into Paragon to open this up. I'm actually going to close mine out and reopen my Paragon page and relog back in so I can show you where that link is just so you know how to get to it. So for later when you're looking for it. So let me just log in real quick. So if your Paragon's still open, just go ahead and click back to it. You can close out your Realist. If it's not, you can go ahead and log back in. And we'll take you directly to the link from here. So you can search in Realist any property. It does not have to be listed. And the way to get to Realist is you're going to go from your tax button here at the top. So you should have a tax button. And when you click on that, we have Realist Tax Search. So that's going to take us in there. So I'm going to go ahead and select it from there. And give it a second to load. Okay, so let's take a look at a few things here that we can change for our searching in this section. First, if you look at the left side of your screen at the top, it says multiple counties selected, change county. Go ahead and select change county. There's multiple counties. You have an option to select 8 of them. So if you go through here, you can see some are check marked. Whatever's check marked will show here on the right side of your screen. If there's a county that you might be searching in, just include it, because when you run that search and type in that property address, we want to make sure we're finding it. So if there's something in here that you will never go through or a county that you don't think you'll use, you can always exit out. That will remove it, and then you can select anything else from the list here on the left that you might want to use. So just check mark, you can select 8, and I'll drop them here for you. And when you have the ones selected that you want, we want to hit apply in the bottom right corner. So if you want to take a second and take a look at what's there, go ahead and check mark any county you'd like to include or remove what you don't want, and then select that apply button in the bottom right corner. Okay, and once you apply, it's going to take you back to your main screen. Okay, so with the counties, if you look underneath it, and if you touch it here, it'll show you what counties you have selected. If you go under, there's 2 tabs, Quick Search and My Search. Quick Search is like Paragon's Quick Search. You type in a little bit of information, you have a few search criteria boxes to use, and that's all you do. You can't save it, you can't add additional search criteria or anything else in this section. So I typically skip the Quick Search. I like to go to My Search tab. So if you go to the right of that, it says My Search. So go ahead and select My Search. And now if you notice, I've got quite a bit of search criteria. I have an option here where it says My Search and Customize Search. Customize Search will now allow us to add additional criteria boxes of things that you might need. So if you look, there's, like I said, there's quite a bit of information here that you can search by, but let's look at our Customize Search. And once you click that, that's going to open up and show you on the right side what's already included. So again, there's quite a bit. If there's things in here that you wouldn't use to search by, there's an X to the right, just click on it, it removes it. If there's items that you want to add in that you're not finding here, you can have 30 items total. If you look to the left here, you can go ahead and go by categories, by sections. So I can go to owner information first. That will show me what my options are in here. Then I can go to geography. That'll show you location and so forth and what you want to select, characteristics of the house. So as you go through here, just check mark things that you want to be able to search by. Your report will have, all this information, but it's what are you searching by? Listing information, you've got assessments and taxes, sales information, certificate of real estate value, which is not giving us anything right now. Foreclosure, if you want to be able to type in something for distressed sales, you can select that. And mortgage information. If I want to be able to search for any property owned by a bank, and by typing in the bank's name, select your lender name, because I can put in Chase Bank and it will pull any property it finds under Chase Bank. So again, pick whatever you'd like, make sure it's all in here. Once it gets to this section, you can actually move them in whatever order you want. So you left click and drag them up and down. So you can have the more important things at the top for you. And then as you move through it, you can have some of the things that you may not search all the time toward the bottom. Okay. If you're good with this, you want to go ahead and hit select save if you want to save it. When you save this, it's going to create it as a new default search. So it did save it now, it's my search, and I'm going to hit apply. So when I'm saving this, I'm saving it just as criteria boxes, no information. I'm not saving it for a specific client. So this is just going to allow me to have more boxes that I can fill in for specific things that I'm looking for. If I want to keep this for a client, once I fill this out, I can now go to customize search, and I can actually create a new search from here and name it. So I can do right here where it says my search, I can name it for my client. So I can say, you know, Mr. Sellers comps, whatever it is, you know, just as an example, and I can go ahead and save that. That will allow me to next time, I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel, save. Next time I can come in here, and if you look where it says my search up here, which is, I believe, what I named mine, all my saved searches are in here. So I can go ahead and click on whatever I need to, and it will load that information for me next time. But again, as a default, I want to keep empty boxes, empty criteria boxes, because otherwise all that information, every time I open this up, will show for that specific client for every one of your searches, which you don't want to do. Okay. All right, so that is how you can save them. And then down here to search, so let's go ahead and put an address in. So maybe I need to run a search on a property for a possible listing. It's never been listed. So I have nothing in Paragon on it. So I want to find more information. I can come in here under my address toolbar, and I can type in that property address. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the property I just searched, which is my listing 38890 Shoreline. But again, you can search your own home or any other specific property that you might be looking for. I always add the city. I find that sometimes if I don't, it does take me out of state. So I want to make sure I stay in Michigan. So I'll put in comma, Harrison Township, and search is here at the bottom. So as I select search, it's going to look for it. It will drop it on my map, and it will give me a OneLine report here. So if I want to run comps on this, you're going to open up the full detail report. In order to open it, you have to double click on your OneLine listing, and it's going to load that detail report for you now with all the information. Once this loads, you'll notice at the top left, you're going to have those same tabs again like we walked through earlier. So by going from Paragon and going from that quick action link, this is where it brought me. So from here, after viewing all the detail information, I can now select comparables, and I can walk through all the comps and, you know, modify those and create a report and so forth. So you can do the exact same steps of creating CMA or running comparables for anything that's never been listed either. So you can just put in the property information. Okay, so if you open this up, I'm going to go ahead and hit back, and I want to get out of here, and I want to go back to my search. So it'll take me back here. Okay, so that's how we can run that. I'm not going to walk back through all those steps again because I know we went through it. It's in the report. It's pretty simple, but at the end, if you need me to show you again, I'm happy to go through it again. So let's go ahead and take a look at our other options here. We've got first of all, with these boxes, as you fill them in, you'll notice some of them say starts with. There's a drop-down menu, so there's an is or starts with, so it helps you either have a range for a search or be even more specific for what you're searching for. So you'll notice that through here. And as you are finding information here and you're filling it in, it will show you also how many matches are at the bottom before you hit your search. All right, so let's go ahead and look at our map. I want to show you the map has a lot of great options. In order to do some of the things on the map's pretty small as you're looking at it on the screen right now. I want to open it up larger and close everything else out. Now, keep in mind, when you're doing things on your map, if you want to see results, this search button is used for filling in criteria information or drawing on your map or doing anything here. So you always have to be able to select the search button in order to get the results so you can see the OneLine report. I can close out these sections and make it just a map, and that's what we're going to do right now. If you look here on the left side where I've got my criteria box, at the top there's double arrows. It says collapse search bar. If I click on this, it's going to minimize that section and make my map a little bit bigger. And if you notice, it will be here in the center. If I click on it, it should take me back. Where is it at? There it is. So it's got the magnifier. It opens it back up for you. So it's just the arrow to close it, magnifier to reopen it. If you look at the map in the top right corner, there's a split view, which is what we're viewing right now. You've got your map and then your OneLine results. Your map is just your map, and then list just gives you a OneLine report without the map itself. So I went ahead and selected map just to make it a little bit larger here. On the right side also, underneath that, you've got an option for the roadmap, satellite view, hybrid, or terrain view. You want to use your roadmap when you're drawing on it to be able to see things a little bit more difficult if you're looking at a hybrid or satellite view. The plus and minus will zoom you in or zoom you out as you need to. And then on the left side, we're going to go ahead and play with these tools over here and take a look at what you can do with them. So what we're going to do is start off with being able to relocate it. So if you look here, it's the third one in from the center. It says locate on the map. If I want to relocate the map to a certain property, so if I'm running the comparables, I might want to put the subject property, a city, a zip code. Go ahead and select this and type in what you're looking for. So if I wanted to move this back over to, let's say, Macomb Township, I can put in Macomb Township, and you can see it starts to look for areas for you. Select the correct one, and it's going to zoom you into that area. So it just kind of took me in the center of Macomb Township over here. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and close that out. And we're going to go ahead and start with drawing. So I'd like to draw on the map and show you how the drawing tools work. So if you go to the very left, there's a pencil. It says drawing tools when you hover on it. Select the pencil, and you have the three options that we have in Paragon. You have your radius tool, which will do a circular drawing for you, rectangle, which will do rectangular or square shape, depending how you draw it out, and your polygon, which will draw any shape that you would like. So we're going to go ahead and start with our radius tool. So left click on it once. You should see this plus sign open up for you. Go ahead to wherever you'd like to start. Now with the circle, you're starting in the center and drawing outwards. So if I want to draw in this section right here, I'm going to click once, drag it out. And when I'm done, I click again. And it's telling me it's exceeded. So it won't give me results because it's too big of an area. So that's all that red came up, total exceeded. So it's looking right now in there, all the homes. And if there's too many, it's not going to give you the full result. But I'm going to keep it where it's at. I'm going to click on it and show you. It has now given me an option to rename it. It tells me how far I went. I went 6.88 square miles. That's why it's too large. And my radius total is 1.48 miles. So I can delete the shape, or I can now resize it. So I would like to make it smaller so I can actually see results. The circles on the exterior will allow you to make it bigger or smaller. So I can drag it in and make it smaller. Now you can see I'm down to about a mile, square mile, and my radius is a little over a half mile. And I can move it. So there's a little circle in the center, the plus. If I drag it, I can now move it to wherever I'd like it. So you don't have to delete and start over. You can modify these. You just double click on it. This box will appear and these circles will appear for you to adjust it as needed. If I want to remove the shape, I'm going to hit delete, and that will take care of it and remove it for you. So let's try our next one under the pencil again. And again, the radius was two clicks. You're going to click once for the center, click again to create it, and you'll go outwards. The rectangle shape, we're going to go from corner to corner. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit here so I can get kind of within a mile area. So I can go in from here from 24 mile. I'm going to click, drag it out. And I want to stop over here by Sheener in 23, 22, and click again and create my shape. And again, if I want to modify this, I can click on it once, rename it, tells you how far I went. I'm at 1.17 square miles. And if I want to make it bigger or smaller, you can now go by either the sides or the corners, drag it in or drag it out. So I can also go the sides here, and then I can bring it in that way or pull it out that way too. And I can also move this to wherever I'd like it to be. So again, as you move it, it will search for that area, whatever you have on here. If we want to run a search on this, then we're going to want to hit our search, and we'll want to open up our list so we can see our split. I'm sorry, to see at the bottom, the OneLine Report. The list will remove the map. So we want to keep the map. So split will give you results at the bottom. So I'll allow you to search from here. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my rectangle shape here. Oops, delete shape. And let's go back to our pencil. So the last one is our Polygon tool. Polygon will allow you to create any shape you need to. So this is great if you've got an area where you're trying to go around a main street, an expressway, maybe a certain subdivision, whatever it might be. So I'm going to start off, let's go over here. We've got Romeo Plank, and maybe I want to draw around it. So I'm going to go and start up here at 24. Click once. Now with this, you'll notice I've got a line here. It's not a shape. So every time I want to change the direction of my line, I'm going to click. So I'm going to click here. Now I want to move it over here, kind of diagonal. Click again, click again. So I can keep clicking. See, I'm going to go all the way over here, over the card, bring it back up again. And then your start point is your end point. So when I get back here, click again, now created my shape. This also can be moved or modified. Just go ahead and click on it. You can rename it. It's about 2.5 miles. And I can now use any of these sections, and I can change it to whatever way I'd like to. So you've got corners, you've got an aside. So again, you can modify this again, whatever way you'd like, or left click and move it over to search whatever area you'd like. Okay, so that is how you do your polygon shape. I'm gonna go ahead and hit delete. So those are your 3 shapes. So your radius, you're gonna go you're gonna click once, go out, click again. From your rectangle shape, just to review this real quick, is corner to corner. And then your polygon, you're gonna go ahead and do those lines and move it in whatever direction you need to and create whatever shape you want. Beginning point is end point. So those are your shapes. Okay, so is there any questions at this point? I'm gonna go ahead and delete my shapes. Okay.
We're looking good so far, Lisa.
Perfect, thank you. It's the same as Paragon. If you're using our Paragon tools, this helps a lot. So those are our drawing tools in here. We're gonna go to the right of our drawing tools. Next thing we're gonna look at is some of our boundaries. So with the boundaries, if you look now, there's a little magnifier showing up to my parcel. Okay, and what this is telling me is that I am zoomed out way too far to see any results. This will actually draw parcel lines and show you every lot. So I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in. So hit your plus sign here on the right, or just use your mouse and get in closer, and then go to your boundaries and go ahead and select parcel. If you see a magnifier with a plus or a minus and you can't highlight it, it's because you have to either zoom in or zoom out, so in order to see the results. So it does take a minute, and I think it's starting to draw my things in right now. Let's move it a little bit closer so you can see the lines a little bit better. And I want to get closer into a subdivision over here where I can actually select them. So I'm going to go ahead and click on one of these streets here. Let's make sure it's a residential. And when I select it, let me move this down so you can see it. When I select it, it's going to give you the property information. It's going to tell you the property address, owner, their tax ID number, if it has information as far as bedrooms and so forth. Now this looks like a business here. It's a holding company. So let's try to get out of this. It looks like I have some commercial going on over here. So let me get over into the subdivision. Let's try this one. This one looks better. Okay, so here it is. So I've got their information, the owner info, 4 bedrooms, 3 bath, NA for sale price and sale date. It's not showing any recent. The magnifier here will do a quick zoom and get you in closer to the property. The ruler here will give you dimensions of that lot, which I love this. If you're doing vacant lots or if you're working on something with an irregular shape, this is a great way for the clients to see it, or if you've got a listing, you can always screenshot this maybe and use it. So this is a great way for you to see exactly how your lot lines are running. Okay, and if I click on it again, you have an option here to pull it right into Transaction Desk, which is Instanet. So if you are writing an offer on it, you can pull that property in there, or a listing on it, you can pull it in there. If there's more information as far as like sales, of course, I picked one, there isn't many sales on it, but let's see if we can find one like this one. Here we go. This one is showing the MLS sale date of 2016. It sold for $390. And you can see it's got like a little for sale sign. This should take you to the direct link to the MLS. Let's see if it pulls it for us or not. And there it is. It will give you a legacy full agent report of that listing. So, and all the information's here, so you can see when it sold and the price it sold for and so forth. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and close it out and go back. So those are your little shortcuts here. So when you click on any parcel, it will give you this information. So you can pull anything. So if you've got a property, you're not sure the address, this is a great way just to pull the street, and then you can kind of maybe get an idea of how far it is, or maybe your client tells you there's one that's two houses over, but they don't know the address and you know which one is theirs. You can go ahead and click on it and so forth and get more information. So that is one of the boundaries. Now I'm going to go back to the top here where my boundaries are. You also have an option for the other thing that I use a lot is schools. This breaks it by school district, which is great, but it also breaks it individually by school. So if I want to know the high schools and the lines for the attendance for that specific high school, I can go ahead and click on that and give it a second to load. I'm going to have to zoom out because you're not going to see it zoomed in this close. And it will start to draw lines for you, and it will have the name of the high school for you. Okay, so you can see I'm still a little too far out to see. I can see part of my line, but it's not. There it goes. So you can see the purple line coming in here. Let's close this out so I can see it better. And you can see the schools are starting to list. So that's a junior high school coming in there. So wherever the school is, you should see the name of it. So here's Eisenhower, for example. And if I zoom out more, I should be able to see those lines for Eisenhower attendance. It's a little bit further out. Looks like we've got, I mean, it's so odd, the shapes that you get for these attendance zones for these schools. I mean, they sometimes cut streets in half, but this will give you, like I said, the attendance zone. So as you can look at these, you can move it around. The nice thing about the map, as you load things and you move it, it does load what you're viewing on the map now. So it will give you your new results. So as we go through here, and let's see, we got another school in here anywhere. So you can select high school, middle school, or elementary school. And let's see, I'm going to uncheck my high school. You have also school districts. So if you just want to see the district itself, you can click on that and you can see they'll start to pop up. So it tells me here, Romeo Community Schools. And as I move this, there's Armada, New Haven, you know, and so forth. So if you got a client, and again, the lines are coming in, these ones are yellow, so you can see their attendance zone. So if you've got a client that they are very specific about a high school and they have to be within that area, then you have an idea at least of where you want to search. You can also do this in Paragon. You have an option for attendance zones. It's also one of your boundaries. You can select that. It draws a line. This is great if you're creating a search for a buyer. You can actually add those lines in and then draw over that line and save it. And that way it's only searching within that map for you. Okay, so that's your boundaries. I'm going to uncheck school district. And the last thing is flood zone over here. If you select flood zone, it will actually start highlighting the map for you to give you an idea. And you can see also what your flood zones are by colors. So as you go through this, you can kind of see where they're at, and you can zoom in and see if a specific property is within a flood zone. Also, obviously, you want to check FEMA maps too, give you more information. Paragon also shows flood zones for you too. Okay, so let's go ahead and remove our flood zones, and that's our boundaries. You also have, like I said, zip, city, county. It does draw the lines in for you and gives you the names of those also. All right, to the right of your boundaries, you have properties and sales information. So once you select that, first thing you have is Distrust Properties. So maybe I'm looking at my map and you can see right now I've got my magnifier with a plus, and you can click on this too. If I just want to click on this, it's should move my, usually it'll move it for you. It's not moving. I'm going to zoom in here. I did have it the other day. I selected one, it did zoom in for me, but I need to move it in because if I don't, oops, there it goes. It's not going to load anything. So let me get into areas here a little bit closer. There we go. Okay, so once I go here to my property sales and I select, you can see all my magnifiers are gone. I'm in close enough. I can select auction, bank owned, short sales, and REOs. They're all color coded. So as these pop up, you're going to see these pins pop up on your page, and they'll show you also at the bottom what the pin colors are. As they pop up, I can select them. Let's move over where it's easier to see my map here. And if you don't see any, keep moving your map around. I might zoom in a little bit here. And you should be able to click on that property once you find one of those push pins pop up. Here, let's do this. I'm going to move out a little bit here. And see, we'll go over here in Washington Township, see if there's anything in here. And if nothing's popping up, just keep moving your map. So here's a bunch of them popping up right in here. Perfect. So I can click on one of these. So this one's blue. So this is an REO sale. I can click on that parcel and it's going to give me the information. So there's the property. It shows me when it's sold. It sold in 2018 and it was an REO sale. It went for 152. And again, you have the options of seeing the property lines, to see the legacy full agent report, see the photos if there's additional photos, and then it also will take you into Instanet. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close that out. So those are the option that you have in this push pin up here for Distrust. These are the 4 options. If you don't need all of them, you can uncheck, just search one, or don't search any of them. Again, it's just an option for you. You may never need it, but it makes it nice to be able to search them without actually filling in information and running maps. I can just click on that and it pulls them up. Under your Distrust, if you go back to your push pin, make sure you uncheck everything. I find if you keep checking things on here, after a while it's hard to read the map. So if you go down under Distrust Properties, you have sales and values. I can look up tax sales for as many months as I want to go back. I can go up to 12 months. So if I want to see in this area what tax records are showing up, I've got one right here. I can click on that and see what information they're showing. Oops. Oops, it's trying to zoom out here. Let me click on that one more time. It's trying to load other ones for me. Here it is. So it looks like this one was listed in Washington Township, and it sold. Now this is showing the MLS sale price, and so the tax records show it was sold with MLS. So you can always tell with a for sale by owner sign, because that will give you, or the little for sale sign, I'm sorry, that will give you the legacy full agent report. Go ahead and close that one out. But again, if you click on any of these, you should be able to get more information, and you can go up to 12 months back. So if you're looking for things in a specific area, another way to search them. This is a more recent sale right here. Okay, so that is your sales and values under the push pin up here at the top. I'm going to go ahead and close those by unchecking it, and I'm going to go to MLS status. So if I want to see expireds, if you farm an area, this is also great for farming, you can select expireds, and you can go back up to 12 months also. But say I want to see the last 3 months for expireds, and give that a second to load. And here's a couple that pulled up. Now, please double check. I've been having problems where I have agents calling my current listings because my listing, I let it expire and then we relisted, or we extended it after it expired. So I've had agents calling and they're not double checking. They see it expired and they automatically call. So just double check and make sure it has not been listed again. Okay, it's showing it's not been sold. We'll go ahead and click on that little for sale sign and see when this expired, if it gives a date on it. So this one expired in 2018 in December. So I would still double check, put the property address in, just make sure that it's not currently listed, but before you're starting to farm or call these, these people. But it does give you expireds under this. Y'all can see what's active in the area, pending, sold. So you can check mark any of these and they'll start to appear for you on your page. And again, up to 12 months back on your expireds and solds. Okay, let's remove whatever you have selected in MLS status under the push pin. And the last thing under here is property characteristics. If you scroll down a little bit further, these will actually load everything on your map. So if I select lot area, it will show me the lot area for all the properties. If I select APM, which is your tax ID number, it will show them. They're a little hard to read, but if you click on it, it does start to load them on each property. So if you zoom in, you should be able to see the full tax ID number. But what I do like searching in here is owner name. So if you forgot your neighbor's name or someone down the street, click owner name. This will show the last name of every property that you have loaded on your map that it can find. So if I zoom in here a little bit, you can see all these names are popping in right now. So it will show you who owns these properties without having to actually select them and view the information. Okay, so that is under your push pin. And under property characteristics, if you add any of these items, again, address will also show up. If you want to remove them, there's a none button. So you don't click on it again, you just hit none. It removes everything for you. Okay, so that is the push pin, and that gives you all these options for your distress sales and actives in the area, MLS statuses, and any characteristics that it has options for. All right, to the right of that, we also have some options to do some graphing for some other searches. So if you click this little, looks like a little graph, you've got market trends in here. First thing is type, and these are the options that you have. So maybe I want to look at an area and see about what the percentages of homes that are in foreclosure within that area. If you click on this, it will give you also an option on the aggregation level. So do I want it to search by zip code or neighborhood, and the property type. So am I looking for single family, condo, or both, which I usually leave both. Okay, this opacity scale will darken or lighten it. So I can make it darker if I want it shaded darker or lighter. But I'm going to zoom out a little bit here. And what it shows you at the bottom is what the percentage is. So if you look here, within my map that I'm looking at right now, there's less than 0.5% that are in foreclosure within this area. Okay, so that's what this market trend does. It allows you to select whatever type of view you want to see within that area, what's going on activity-wise, and then you can change it to more specific, whether it's zip code or neighborhood, and then you can view them. And again, it's just going to shade your map for you. All right, so let's go ahead and remove that. That's none. And we're going to go to points of interest next. So from the graph to the right of that, from your trends, there's a little binoculars. This is points of interest. So if there's something specific I want to see here where they're at, I can select it. So for example, let's do education. And once I click that, oops, there it goes. It's going to take a minute to load. You might have to zoom in, zoom out, or move your map if you see nothing popping up. and I'm kind of zoomed in pretty close here. So I'm gonna move it out a little bit and let's see if we can get a school to pop up. You should see a graduation cap appear wherever there's a school. Okay, so let's see here. I'll zoom out a little bit because nothing's popping up. And we're not getting much here. So let's try another area. Let's go down further here. So you should see that the caps, and as the caps appear, you should be able to click on them. It will tell you the school name and any information you might have on the address and so forth. Mine are not pulling up, so I must not be in a good area, or it's taking a second to load here to find them. And you have options for in the points of interest for golf courses, hospitals, police, gas stations, I mean, whatever points of interest. So if I've got someone that wants sports and recreation in the area, you can select that. You can select multiple things and they will pop up. You know, maybe I want to see where the police department is, healthcare, and the schools, for example. And that should start pulling some things here if it wants to load for you. It's not loading much right now. It doesn't seem like it's pulling much, and it could be the area that I'm in. So just try to relocate it. You do have an option of printing or emailing this. And if you look at the bottom left corner, I have a print, so I can print these reports, or I can email. So I can email the report too. So you have the option of print and email right here in the bottom right. Okay. All right, so that is your points of interest. So again, if you check mark them, nothing's appearing on mine. Hopefully you've got some results on yours, but I'm gonna go ahead and uncheck mine and show you the last few things we have in here. So to the right of the binoculars, which is your points of interest, we have a card. This is gonna give you driving directions. I can put in a property address maybe, and maybe my client's work, give them, show them how far it is and give them directions. So this will do driving directions for you. To the right of that is your point located on the map. That's how we moved our map to whatever area you were searching. To the right of that is the ruler. This is the measuring tool. So I can actually measure within maybe a house in a location, or maybe there's a school and I want to measure the distance from it. But this will allow you to click, and then move it. So maybe wherever it might be, I don't have anything here to really show. And that will keep your measuring tool here for you. And maybe you want to show something on the map to your client and explain what it is. So to the right of that, you have an annotation tool. And I can click on that and it actually does a little box for me. It's not doing it right now. I don't want a map again. Sorry, it's giving me a ruler again. I want my annotation tool. And it should give me, of course, it doesn't want to work for me now. There it is. So this little pop-up window, a little balloon opens up, and I can type in whatever message I want on here for them. So if I'm showing them something specific, maybe the distance from the house to the school, I may want to type in, to the elementary school, it's a mile away or whatever it might be. So that's what this is doing for you. I mean, I really don't know if you might think of something else that you could use it for, but it gives you how many feet it is. So the total length of that was 600 feet. Again, I'm not sure how often you might use this, but it is an option for you. If you click on the line tools, you can, if it lets you pick it, remove it. There should be a delete. And I don't want the location. I want my line tool here. And of course, it's picking up all the properties. So you want to select the line tool and that way you can delete it. It will give you an option. This can be deleted also, your annotation tool. So that's the measuring tool and your annotation tool. So that's basically everything in your map tools. Is there any questions about any of them or something I need to show you again or anything you're confused about or something maybe I didn't show you that I can answer for you? Again, on the right side, you can either raise your hand and we can unmute you, or you can type a chat message to us and I can answer it for you. Everyone doing pretty good here?
We're doing good.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so the next thing I'd like to show you is what you can now do with running a search, pulling properties and running either a just sold postcard, something for listings, something to farm an area. All this option is in here for you and there's no charge for it. So I'm going to show you how we can do this. What we're going to do is actually draw a map first, and then I'll show you if you want to add additional criteria, but then we'll take a look at that and create our labels. So we want to draw on your map a small section because if it's too big, it's not going to load for you. So go back to your pencil tool at the top left, and use whichever you want. So I'll just use the rectangle tool. If you want to relocate your map, maybe to a property that you sold, so maybe I'll put in a listing that just sold, and I'll do just sold flyers. So I can do a listing for two. So you can put in anything you'd like here, relocate it, or you can keep it wherever you're at. And once you locate it, click on it, move it to that location. And there's my listing. And now I want to send, let's do just sold flyers. I mean, it's an odd shape, so really this is probably not a good shape for me. I'm going to go ahead and use my Polygon so I can draw around 94. I like to keep it like right around the property. So I'm going to go ahead to my pencil, get my Polygon tool. Let's go in here. I'm going to go down Cotton Road here, make sure I get these houses. And maybe move this out of the way here. We'll go down to the end of the block. And then I'll bring it back up. I'm going to move it over here to some of these smaller streets around it. And again, my beginning point is my end point. And there's my shape. Okay, so draw whatever shape you'd like. And again, make sure you don't have, if there's thousands of results, it's going to give you an error, or it'll tell you can only see the first 1,000 or so forth. So select the area. Once we select it, we're now going to have to open up the other sections so we can view our OneLine report, and we can view our search criteria box, so we can actually hit search and pull these properties. So to open up the search box to the left, top left, there's that magnifier again. Click on that. That's going to open up your section here, and the search button's right here. And to view the actual results in the list, you're going to go up here at the very top right above your map. It says split. We want split view, which will be the map and our list, which is our OneLine report. So I hit split, and now my results are down here. And I want to make sure I don't have that property address still listed, which I do. So I'm going to remove it out of my address toolbar here and delete that. So anything that you have in these criteria boxes are also searching along with the map. So if you're searching for something specific, you can type in whatever criteria you want and hit search. I'm doing it just as just sold flyers or just sold postcards. So I want to make sure mine is clear, and I'm going to hit search and give it a second to load. And once it loads, I should see all the properties here in my list. If it gives you an error, and you can always refine, you can always go back, click on your map and readjust it. So I ended up with 304 listings that are 304 homes, I should say. And if you look at these, if you see the red balloon, that's a sold property. So it recently sold. You can look and see when it sold. If you go down further, I've got one that's purple here. That's an expired property. If you have any green that are active, make sure you uncheck it, so that way you're not sending to someone else's client. The check marks are here on the left. It automatically check marks everything for you, but I would take the time and go through, uncheck them. Also, sometimes depending on the area, you might end up with some commercial properties in there, some businesses. You may not want to send it to them, so you can uncheck them from here too. Okay, once you have everything check marked that you want to use, at the bottom of your screen, you can see where it says labels. So right underneath your list here, your OneLine report says labels right down here. Select your labels. And if you look here, I have an option of what type of label first. And it doesn't have to be the Avery 5160. Typically, most of even the off-brand ones are 30 labels per sheet, which is your typical address label. That is the same as the Avery 5160. So I always select this one. And if you go down further, you have an option to use mixed case, which is your upper and lower case when it's typing it up. Or do you want all capital letters? I don't like all cap because it looks like I'm yelling at them, but again, you can use either one. So I'll use the mixed case. The address type, do I want my tax billing address or property address? If the property is a rental and the tenant gets it, he's going to toss it in the garbage. So I like to use my tax billing address so I can make sure the owner is receiving my postcard. And you do have an option to show the current owner on here. You can include foreign addresses, which you probably don't want to include. Eliminate duplicate labels or create a custom label. It lets you allow you to type in what you're looking for here. So I'm going to uncheck these. Choose your export option. So I can either do a range, or if I just want the first 100 or first 5, it allows you to select how many of the 304 results that I have that I wanted to create. And then to the right of that, export status. You are allowed 5,000 labels per month. I don't know many agents that send out 5,000 postcards or have to type up 5,000 labels, but you are allowed 5,000 a month. Again, this is completely free. You don't pay any additional. You know, like the post office charges you to get addresses and so forth. This is a great way to do it. Very easy to do. So once you select create, don't select it right now, it will deduct whatever you just created out of this. So when you're ready to print them, then create them. But until then, don't just create them. If you want that list, you can export it into an Excel spreadsheet, and then you can make notes as you're getting either postcards being sent back or you're getting calls from these people. So I can go to export, and I can export, I can customize, and I can select what do I want to include in my export. So this gives you all the different categories. So if I want just the address information, then I'm going to go to the actual address, location information, and then you can select address if you want a county. If there's more info, you want the owner name. I mean, if you're going to an Excel spreadsheet, I would include more information to make it more helpful for you. So if you do get a call from them, or if a card's coming back, so you can mark it, you know, whatever it might be. And so you can do the export from here. And again, this will create a Excel spreadsheet for you. So you can export in the bottom right corner. All right. Same thing, this is going to allow you, it looks like, to export this month. Same thing, it's going to take it from the 5,000 records and export. You can also export to Excel and just print it there if you don't want to use their label service here. So if you're going to do both, I would suggest export to Excel, print your labels from there, and then you already have your sheet set up, and then you can make your notes on them. Okay, so that is what we did here. And you can save this, so you can rename it and save it so you know what properties you use for this export. I'm going to hit cancel, and it'll take you right back. So again, once you have things selected and you hit your search button to find them, your results, make sure they're check marked, whatever you want. You can do your labels, or you can export them right from here. All right, so that's how we do our labels. And I think that's it. So we've gone through our map and how to use all our map tools that are up here at the top. You've got all of your information here for your searching. You can customize your search and run a search. And then obviously your OneLine report, you can always move these around and resort them for your view, and then you can create your labels and export them at the bottom here. So that is it for pretty much everything that we have in here, other than taking you through some of the help stuff and how to set up your preferences. So is there any questions at this point before I get into the other items? Everybody good? Again, you've got you can raise your hand. If you have any questions, we'll unmute you. Or if you want to send us a quick chat, we can answer you that way too. So whichever works better for you. Because if everyone's good, we're going to go ahead and take a look at our preferences and some of your help and so forth. One thing I forgot to mention too, you do have this star up here. The star is for your saved properties. So if you have saved properties, it will show them in here. So if you open something, you have an option to click the star, it drops them in here for you. But let's go to the top right here, and you've got this gear. Let's take a look at our gear. This is where you're going to set up your preferences. This is where we'll do our email signature, customize our search criteria box, and so forth. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So if you look here in the top left, you've got tabs. We're going to walk through each tab. And then in the bottom right corner is where we'll be saving our changes. So let's start off in the first one. First thing is going to be is for when you're searching properties. It'll ask you first do you want to automatically open a property report. So if I have one result, I'm searching for a property, do I want it to automatically go to that full detail report, or do I want to go to that single line report and I'll double click and open up, to a full? I like seeing the single line and then opening it up if I want to see more information. But again, if you want it to open up right away for you, go ahead and check mark that. The next one is mailing labels. When you're doing labels, do you want them to show properties that are on the do not mail list? So if someone has registered on a do not mail list, they do have a do not mail list, just like a do not call list. I don't know how much they really work because you still get stuff, but if you want those property addresses to show up, you would check mark this. If you don't want them included and you're running a search and it's removing them automatically for you, then keep it unchecked. For sales transactions, do you want to include unmatched sales? I want to see whatever results I have from the criteria I've put in there. But if you want to include additional, this will allow you to include additional and to go up to 2 years back. So again, you can do that. Just give you that option. Search results. What is the maximum number of properties I want to view in my grid? So the most you can see is 3,000. So you can set that up as high. So if you're running a map and you're drawing that map, you can actually view up to 3,000 results. If you want 3,000, you can include it, but whatever result amount you'd like, just go ahead and select that. They always recommend 1,000, but you can use whatever you'd like. Okay, and let's go ahead and save our changes just to make sure that saves. And we're going to go ahead and go to the reports on the left here. So if you go to reports next, First thing is going to be the type of report that you have. There's two options, fixed and dynamic. Fixed report will show everything that you have in there. So that means criteria boxes that don't have any results, that are empty, will show up. And that's what I have selected. So if you notice when I opened up my detail report, there's a lot of empty fields that shows up. If I don't want anything that's empty to show up, I can select dynamic. So what the dynamic's going to do is actually remove those empty boxes so you won't see them. So again, whatever choice you'd like. And now let's look at our comparables. So for the report itself, how many comparables do you want to see? The maximum right now is 10. We're working on getting more. I'm hoping they can change that again for us. And sort method, how would you like it to sort when it does find those results? So mine is by the square footage. You can change that to whatever's closest to the property, sale price, sales date, depending what you'd like to see it. Again, you can resort it by double clicking on any one of those sections in your OneLine report. Do you want to include your property images? Do you want to include your value projected by assessment, the value projected by square footage, and your AVM, which gives you that automated value? Any of these you want to remove, just uncheck them. And this is making it a default for you, excuse me. Data source, do you want both? Yes, you do. You want tax records. You want those for sale by owners because that's the biggest benefit of going through Realist. But I also want my criteria, obviously, from MLS. I want those listings pulling in from there too. For pool, I leave no preference. Again, it's going to change. I can adjust these again when you're doing that comparables and you hit that search customize. You can now add pool for that specific property and just run it without saving as a default. The distance, you can go up to 10 miles. So if you want to go further back as a default, you can. If I want a specific for sale price, year built, or bedrooms, bathroom stories, you can. I prefer to keep these open. Again, they're going to be changed depending on the property. Some of this I would not include. Some I may want to, modify as we go. Tax and distress sales, do I want to include those? If I don't, I can remove that and I'll only see, regular sales by owners, for sale by owners, and owner occupied and nothing distressed. So I like to include all my sales as I'm running things, so I like to see them all. As far as the boundaries, do I want specific boundaries? Again, these are going to be all specific to a property. So I usually don't like to include it because you'll have to keep changing as you go. So I like to keep it open, but again, it's up to you. If you find that you always want to search that subdivision first or zip code or city first, you can. And that's it for my comparable report. Let's go into our market trends report. That was the graphs that we saw that had the few graphs on the sheet. So I can change this to just condo if I don't want to search for single family to see my trends, or I can also change from monthly to quarterly. So when you see those graphs, you're going to see your results in quarterly instead of each month. And do I want zip, county, and city, which I can. That's all included. I believe I can adjust this to just zip, just county, or just city. It's up to you. So that's that market trends report tab that we went through. The next one is neighbors. How many neighbors do you want to include, and how far do you want them from the property? So 10, I believe, is the max, which it is, which I'm hoping they'll change that for us again too. And distance, 1 mile if you want to include. If you want to include this less because you want them, closest, you can do 0.5 and what have you. Okay. If you go down further, here's your boundary again. Do I want to see the neighbors within any of these? So this is where you might want to change it. You might want to make sure the neighbors are pulling up in the same subdivision or the same street, depending on what you'd like to view. So it will pull it that way for you. And I want to include any property images too. The next section, neighborhood profile reports. First thing it's going to give you is distance for the schools. How far do I want it from the subject, from the property or the area that we're searching? So for here, I can go 3 miles, I can go 5 miles. You can type in whatever distance you'd like it. And school type, do I want to include public schools, private schools, or both? So you can select those. And then everything here on the left where it says available, these are the options that you have. On the right is what's included right now in that report. If you want to remove any of these, then you can. You just click on that X and it will remove it. So if I don't want maybe adult education in the area, I can just go ahead and close it out. If I want to include it, you want to check mark it, it drops it back in for you. So again, this will modify that report for you when you're in that neighborhood profile report, that very last section that we were in. So depending what you want to see for schools, this is where you'll get that information. And businesses. So that was the very last thing we saw. So if you want to include businesses, how far do you want them from the subject property? How many do you want per category? and what do you want to include. So you can see the government, you can see pet services, restaurants, shopping, banks, hospitals, so there's a lot of information. If you don't want any of them, just click on them, it will remove them. If there's something here that's not added, you can check mark and add it back in. And this is again as default. So when you get to that report, whatever you've selected right now, that's what it's going to show. But you can always modify this again. You can always come back and make changes whenever you need to. Okay, so that is everything in our report section here. So let's go ahead and go to the last thing is our email signature. So my email signature is already in here. If you want to type yours in, I'm not sure if it comes in as a default with anything in there, but you can just click in here, change your font. You can do your font size. You can make it bold. You can make it italic. You can change the color. And this is how you want it set up. It's left to the middle or whatever. But go ahead and you can change this. And every time you hit email a report, this will pop up for you. So you won't have to type in your information. So again, if I want to change, say, for example, my type, I can change that. I can make it bold, change the size of it. So whatever way you like to modify this, you can if it's already in there, or again, you can go ahead and type in everything. So if you want to take a minute to do that, we'll get your email signature in. So when you do send it in, you don't have to type it every single time. If you're not doing any changes to your email signature at this point, you can hit Save Changes in the bottom right corner of your screen. And then again, you can come back in here at any time and make a change again or adjust this whatever way you want. I have not found a way. I had someone ask me about adding logos. I have not found a way, even right clicking on this, I can't insert or add any logos or photos. So it does only allow you to add text in. I know some people have their email signature as a JPEG where they drop it into different things. It does not, unfortunately, allow that. But I don't know if you copy and paste, it may allow you to do a copy and paste in here. Okay. So that's our email signature. The only thing left on here on the left is your map. That just allows you to select parcel. So as default, when you do open up that map, your parcel lines are automatically appearing. So it makes it a little bit easier if you're going in there to search for something you can just click on any of those boxes and see the information. So that is the last thing. So that's everything here that you have options to change your preferences. So please make sure you hit the Save Changes here in the bottom right corner. And once you do, should reload it, so everything should be saved for you. And then the last thing here I want to show you, you have an area for help. So if you need help, if you look to the right here, there's a question mark. And if you click on that, that will give you some other guides that will help you. So whatever help you need, you can click on that. That will help you there. And also today you should see on the right side of your screen those handouts that we sent you. So those handouts should be very helpful too. So if you want help with that, that will help you there. The only other thing is I just want to show you your BS&A, how to get to that. But other than that, Realist, we are pretty much gone through everything. Is there any questions before we pull out of Realist, before I take you into BS&A? Is everyone pretty good with what we went through? Again, if you want to talk, you can hit the hand and we can unmute you. Or if you want to hit chat, you can type a message to us real quick. And just before I get out of here, I can show you anything that I may have missed. Hopefully everybody was pretty comfortable with it. Okay, again, handouts are on the right. They're PDFs. Click on them. That'll allow you to download them and save them to your computer. There's screenshots, so hopefully those will be helpful. So when you're sitting around, you can just go ahead and play with that. And it makes it a little bit easier to remember, because if you try to do this in a few weeks and haven't touched it, you're gonna have a tough time remembering everything. So there's a lot in here. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at BS&A. BS&A, and we're just gonna go through this for a few minutes. I just wanna show you and explain a little bit. BS&A is the city site. So this will take you directly into a city to find information. So I'm gonna go back to Paragon and close out my Realist. And under tax, if you look, you have an option for BS&A online right here. This takes you directly into it. Also, from a listing, if you have a listing open, let me go back to listing real quick here. Let me drop in my listing. You have that quick action link in your listing that will allow you to go directly into there. So let's go in. Oops. There's my shoreline. There it is. Okay, so once I open it up, you should have a little blue link, a quick action link on your full agent report, and it looks like a little trash can. This is it. We want them to change that because I think it does look like trash can, but anyways, this takes you directly, if you hover over it, it should say BS&A online free. Any of the cities that do not charge for those reports, you can click on here. It will take you directly in, which I'm going to click on this right now, and it will give you all that information directly from the city. Again, city information is going to be probably more correct most of the time, I should say, than Realist, because again, it's a third party, it's inputting information, it's finding. So I do find that sometimes there's errors. Not that BS&A doesn't have errors. I do find errors in there at times too, but I always double check BS&A, especially if I'm doing a listing. That will give me all my information. So as it lists, it will give you a photo. It will give you your property owner information. And it will give you a couple tabs here if there's more information, and it also breaks it down by sections here for you. But if you just keep scrolling down, you'll see it. You can save this and create an account in BS&A and then open up your favorites so that address is saved in there for you. But it gives you owner information, tax information on it. You can see if it's homestead, the last 3 years of taxes, any land information it has on the lot, acreage. So this is just under ½ acre. And then your frontage, frontage and depth. I mean, this is your lot dimensions are great when you're doing a listing because a lot of times your clients don't know it exactly. So you can find all that in here. And then it does give you the legal, any land divisions, if it's been split, sales history is in here. And then the building information itself. So your square footage, garage, your foundation size. So you can see if it's foundation underneath. This does not have a basement. So I believe it's crawl space, year built, how old it is, and so forth, basement, and then the details. So it actually will break down the square footage. If it has a basement in a crawl or basement in a slab, you can sometimes see that here too. This is really helpful when you're doing your listing because a lot of these homes don't have a full excavated basement. If there's a family room and living room, a lot of times the family room is on a slab. So when you're putting your basement area, your square footage, you'll notice a difference. So this is really good too. So it tells you here there's a crawl and a slab, and you can see that there's a difference of the two. And exterior, basement finish, and plumbing, and so forth. So it gives you a lot of information here. So if you go back to the top, everything we just looked at is right here. These are broken down into these sections, but there's also tax. If you select your tax information, this is going to show you your taxes. And this is really important because it will give you the most recent. I do find Realist is a little behind on taxes. So sometimes they don't have like the 2020 in there yet. They're still showing 2019. So definitely check in the tax information here. So if you go down further, here's your taxes. So this is good too if they're not paying their water bill. If they've got an assessment or something was tacked on because they didn't pay it, it will show up in here. What you can do is open these sections and see more information. So if you look further, winter 2019, I can see how it's being broken down. And here is the taxes right here. So it gives you if it's exempt, if there's homestead exemption or not, there's assessed value and so forth. And then it gives you what they're being charged. And then it breaks it down for you. So you can see this is their millages for everything. So their police, their fire, smart, the zoo, county, library, ADA, admin fees, interest fees. I have seen in here for water bills. I have seen for assessments, unpaid assessments. We had one that the taxes went up like $2,000 in 1 year. It was because they had unpaid taxes and all the tax bills were showing up in here from before. So again, anything that is showing up with the tax records or city records are going to show up in this information for you. And then you get your millage rate right from here. So this is all in BS&A. Definitely go through here before you're listing a property and double check it, or even a client buying kind of gives you a better idea too. But you can see we've got our winter, summer, and it goes back. You can load more years from here too. Sorry, so, okay, so go back to the top here. And photos here, if there's additional photos, a lot of times they'll have a sketch. This one doesn't have it, but they'll show a sketch of the house, and you can see also the square footage from the drawing. Those will show up in here also. Last picture here, it looks like they went out in 2018 and took one of it. I'm gonna close that out. Okay, so that is your BS&A. So you can also, again, go from Paragon, go from your tax and go directly to BS&A online. And if you go that way and instead of going directly from a property, then it will give you the counties that you can search. You can go to whichever county you want and look for the city. Watch for ones that have, looks like, I don't know if, it's like a piece of paper or whatever you want to call it. This says that some might charge you. So there might be a fee depending what you're looking for. Macomb County is pretty good. Oakland County is a lot of charges. but Macomb County, all these ones with just eyes on them, there's no charges for any of their information. So it's pretty good over there. Wayne, I think it's only one that charges on here. So these are the ones that you have options to go directly into BS&A from. All right, and you can see what charges and what doesn't. So that is BS&A. So again, from here, it's in your taxes, or go directly from the listing itself. It's right here. Okay, so that is everything, and I think we finished within just a couple of minutes left here. So any questions about BS&A or any questions about Realist I can answer right now or show you again. Again, your chat is on the right, or if you want to raise your hand, we will unmute and you can talk. It might be easier than trying to type everything out. So just let us know.
And so far, no questions, but I did want to let everybody know that, remember, we will have this webinar recorded. Well, it is recorded. We will also put it onto our YouTube channel, which is MiRealSource Media. Don't forget to subscribe to that so you will get updates. We are loading tons of content onto our YouTube channel these days. All the classes we've been doing, except for a few proprietary ones, we are not putting out as public videos. So that's it. So if you'd like to watch these again, it'll get here probably by the end of the day. It will be uploaded to the YouTube channel. Oh, thank you so much for your comments. Great info. That was Terry Weems. It was good to see you on the webinar today. A lot of people with some thank yous in there. And so it was a great webinar. And remember, if there was something that you thought of that, hey, Lisa went over that in the webinar, how did I get to that again? Well, number one, you have the cheat sheets that are attached to this. They can also be found in the handouts or in the MLS documents in Paragon. Then we did have one hand up. So did you want to speak? Let me go ahead and unmute you. There you go. So you had a question for Lisa? Is it Ursula?
She's still muted. Ursula, you have to unmute yourself.
I thought I had heard her. Yeah. Oh, she said thank you. It sounds like she is good.
Thank you so much.
She's good. Okay. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, well, I hope that was helpful. Again, if you need additional help, tech support is always available. We have the handouts in Paragon, and there's many in here. So if you need help, these handouts are great. So if you go to the top of your screen in Paragon, under MLS Documents, you have a folder for education under MiRealSource. And right now we have 73 files. And the nice thing about these handouts is there's screenshots on them, they're PDFs, and they're broken into sections for you. So instead of everything all in one, it's going to break down whatever specifically you need help with. So for example, photo staging, it does have Realist in there, BS&A handouts, whatever you need help with, just click and open these up and these will hopefully help you too. But again, tech support's always there to help you too. So, and come to as many of these webinars as you need to. Hopefully we will see everybody in our classroom sometime soon. But other than that, I hope everyone stays safe and stay healthy. And I hope to see you in more classes.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Thank you. All right, bye-bye.